Next, I want to talk to you about one of the most elemental leadership traits, living the example. And when I go throughout this, if you'll humor me, I'm going to intersperse with some examples that I've observed from combat deployments. I'm going to share with you examples that I've witnessed of people exemplifying and manifesting leadership traits, although they were not in formal leadership positions. They were truly showing asymmetric leadership, leading from where they were, rising to the challenge, without it being in their duty description or in their summary of job duties. Living the example inspires others. And the beautiful thing about this is you don't have to be in an assigned leadership position to do it. Every one of you can think of people that truly live the example day in and day out. And when people live the example, you know that they're genuine because they're being real. But this begins with understanding your own personal core values and that of your organizations. And then the next step is aligning your core values and your beliefs and living them out. Because leaders align their actions with their values. And when you're part of an organization like FLETC, you align your personal values with that of the organization that you're working for. Personal story I want to share with you. On my last deployment, that's me, walking with a plate carrier on, all right? And the gentleman one step ahead of me and to my left was my Afghan brother, Sergeant Major Ghulam Saki. My last deployment, I was an embedded combat advisor, and I was tasked with a couple different projects. We developed a community policing project. I worked with some Afghan commandos, and I worked with the Afghan uniformed police. But this was my Afghan brother. He was the reason that I was in country. Tied to him at the hip. Wherever he went, I was there. If he was eating spoiled goat, I was eating spoiled goat. But it's hardly ever spoiled. It's usually pretty fresh. If he was getting shot at, I was getting shot at. If he was thirsty, I was thirsty. If he observed Ramadan, I observed Ramadan. And I took in no food or water until he did. I was tied to him at the hip. I was there to mentor him. I was there to teach him. But as you can imagine, I learned more from Sergeant Major Ghulam Saki than he ever taught me. And this is a picture of him leading the example. He's a sergeant major of one of the largest areas in his province. He's in charge for the day-to-day operations of police patrols. And he was taking the mantle of the community-oriented policing project that I helped him to develop and design. He doesn't need to be out there walking the streets, right, going to shop owners and meeting people, but he did. Because previous to this project, that did not happen within his agency. They didn't do community-oriented policing patrols. They patrolled from a truck, bristling like a porcupine with RPGs and PKMs hanging out the back. Getting out and walking through the streets was not something that they did because it was dangerous. Which is exactly why he would, if there was a patrol out, him and I would patrol as well. Now, what is my Afghan brother not wearing in this picture? A plate carrier, which I gave him one, just like mine, LBT 6094 Alpha. He refused to wear it. Why do you think he would not wear that plate carrier that I gave him? Exactly, sir. He would not wear it because his guys didn't have one. And he would not wear a plate carrier unless I could get one for all of his men, which I simply could not. I had one and I gave it to him. He wouldn't wear it. I didn't like that, but I completely understood where he was coming from. He lived the example every day. If that nation ever turns around, it's going to be on the shoulders of men like him. I say like him because he was killed no further than 10 feet away from me. All right, he was literally within arm's reach of me on the day that they got him. But he knew it. One thing he would tell me is, he said, one thing I know for sure, one day I will be killed. And he knew it. But he went out and he patrolled and he did his job fearlessly every day because he understood the importance of living the example, even if it meant laying down his own life to do it. Another example of leading the example, one of my mentors, the gentleman with the silver hair, third from the right, Lieutenant Colonel Matt Casteel. He just retired. He was in charge of that mission. My job was to be operations. I was a deputy team chief. On this particular day, I was on a 3-day mission, walking, checking on these outposts on top of ridge lines, humping up batteries, humping up med supplies, and resupplying people on foot. He didn't have to go with me, but he spent 2.5 days with me walking up ridge lines, endangering himself to deliver batteries and other consumables to the Afghans on top of hilltops. Not within his job description, but he believed in the power of living by example, and he wanted to have shared hardship with his people. He could have been comfortable, he could have been safe, but that wasn't like him. He was one of my mentors, and he truly lived the example every day. But we're fortunate here at FLETC, because remember when I said that your personal core values need to align with that of your organizations. At FLETC, our shared values, when lived out, will enrich anybody's life, no matter what your profession is. As living out your core values is an attribute and a trait of leadership, let's go over what ours are here at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers. Respect. This is an often used, but I think misunderstood word. How do we define respect? And what does it mean to truly respect somebody? One of the best ways I've heard it stated is respect is a way to honor someone. A lot of people confuse respect with tolerance, which we know if they were the same thing, we wouldn't need two separate words. You can tolerate me. You can tolerate me all day long. That doesn't mean that you respect me. And maybe some of my colleagues do tolerate me, but I want them to respect me, okay? Respect means to honor someone, to pay attention to them in a particular way without judgment. Respect is a slice of mindfulness, and mindfulness is an attribute of leadership. Integrity. Integrity is elemental to credibility. And as the book, The Leadership Challenge, posits, credibility is the foundation of leadership. Now, as leaders in the workplace, as leaders in your home, how important is integrity? Do you want to follow anybody who you feel has no integrity? So how important is it to us as leaders? It's absolutely elemental, because credibility is the foundation of leadership. And once integrity is lost, once credibility is lost, how hard is it to get it back in the eyes of the folks that you lost it from? It's very hard. Yes, sir. Integrity. Service. Selfless service. True selfless service coming from the heart. Service to each other. Service to our client. But it has to come from a place of caring. It has to come from a place of love. You give selflessly of yourself. You don't do service with the expect of something in return. It's the giving of yourself selflessly. So think about, who are we providing service to? And what is the condition of our hearts when we provide that service? Because we should be giving of it freely. But we also need to maintain ourselves, because an empty well gives no water. But true service is one of our core values. The selfless giving of yourself, the selfless giving of your energy, of your compassion. It's a leadership attribute. And excellence. And if you haven't noticed, all of our core values are an acronym very easy to memorize. RISE. Excellence. True human excellence is magnetic, and it will draw people from all around. But how do we define excellence? How far away is excellent from good? They're miles apart. And how far removed is good from average? 100 miles away. But what do we have to achieve to just be adequate government employees? Can we be average and still draw a paycheck? Who wants to be just average? Raise your hand. Because true human excellence is magnetic, and people see it from miles around, and it draws people to it. When organizations are excellent, it draws people to that organization. People will sacrifice money, time, and comfort to be a part of something greater than themselves, but that something that is greater than themselves has got to be excellent. It has to be perceived to be excellent. This greatly affected my decision to resign from my parent agency and come here. When I was still a detail lead from the Federal Air Marshal Service, I had a conversation with one of our assistant directors. And he told me, here at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers, we want to be the best in the world. And I'll never forget it. He said, we don't want to be the best in Glenn County. We don't want to be the best in the state of Georgia. We don't want to be the best in the United States. We want to be the best on the planet. And that rung with me. And it stuck with me. And I thought about that. And I thought, I want to be a part of a world-class organization. Not that, I want to be a part of an organization that wants to be the best in the world. That means I'm going to have to raise my bar. And that moved me greatly and was a huge factor in me coming here and seeking to be a permanent employee at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, because I was attracted by true human excellence. I'm David Lau, and this has been FLETC Talks.